Hi everyone, my name is Cece Ambrin and I am broadcasting to you from San Diego, California. You are listening to the podcast Educators for Equity, which is about discussing various issues in the field of education and what we can do as educators, parents, and community partners to improve on these issues and provide all students, regardless of their background, with an inclusive and equitable quality education overall. One of the greatest issues facing education today is the inequitable dispersal of public school funding and the major funding discrepancies between wealthy and low-income communities. Economic and racial disparities are exacerbated in which low-income communities of color are receiving less funding and resources than more affluent communities, which is creating a learning gap between low-income students of color and typically white, middle to upper-class students. As time goes on without these financial and resource inconsistencies being addressed, the quality of education is very different for these students, and that more financial resources grants wealthy schools with abundant educational resources, such as updated books and curriculum, arts, STEM, and academic success programs to support student learning and exploration, appropriate learning facilities and nutrition services, qualified staff, which can influence effectiveness of teaching, and appropriate class sizes that support both group and individual instruction. As such, underfunded schools are not afforded many of these resources and opportunities, which puts low-income students at a greater disadvantage in their learning, on top of often already needing additional help to catch up to their peers, and that many low-income students require language and speech programs or intervention to aid in their English language acquisition or general academic development overall. And so, because these resource and financial inequalities are unlikely to be resolved overnight, many educators must make do with the resources that are available to them. Therefore, in this episode, we will be discussing the role of the educator and focusing on how educators who might work in an underfunded district might be able to help provide an inclusive, quality education to their students despite the circumstances. Because new resources such as books and curriculum are expensive, there are many online resources such as videos, text, and even entire lesson plans that are great, cheap, or even free resources for educators. These free resources give students and educators access to updated academic ideas that better support modern and diverse types of learning compared to the outdated resources and curriculum that many underfunded schools are typically given to utilize. Additionally, because many low-income schools are without arts and STEM programs, teachers can find a multitude of free lessons and ideas online that integrate art and music into their own classroom. These lessons typically can be tied into all subjects and encourage arts exploration and exposure in children that might not otherwise have access to these opportunities at home. Furthermore, low-income schools are in need of highly qualified educators that have appropriate training and certification in their respective fields, and who care about the development, success, and well-being of their students. As such, educators should take the time or any opportunity that's given to them for professional development or sensitivity training to learn about the issues and aspects of students' identities that can affect equity in the classroom. These include racial, class, and gender disparities, and as well as explore their own personal attitudes towards issues of inclusivity, implicit racial bias, and more. All of these ideas are shared with the intent of helping educators make do with and improve upon the resources that are available to them, and to provide students with a well-rounded, quality education that educates the whole child regardless of her circumstances. Therefore, I hope that you learned more about how we can provide inclusive and equitable quality education for all students, and I thank you for listening.